What's up guys, EDA Talk Sports here, back with another video, and this time we're going to be reviewing UFC 309. Guys, it was a card that we were always looking forward to, a card that we previewed, a card that we covered in much detail, and one that we are going to cover again to cover in all its glory. So let's kick off looking at Jon Jones versus Stipe Miocic, and it was a fight and a main event that we were, it's been a year in the making. We were expecting this a year ago. We've got it now, and Jon Jones showed his domination, showed his quality. And guys, when I say we've, or maybe even I have forgotten how good Jon Jones is, mate, on another level. On another level. His diversity in striking, his ability to pick the most violent method to destroy a man. I mean, when I grew up watching MMA, him, Anderson Silva were people I looked up to as being my favorite fighters, and that, hasn't changed. He's one of the greatest. He's cemented his legacy as one of the greatest, if not the greatest, depending on who you ask. And it was complete domination. We're going to talk about the fights, round 1, round 2, round 3, very, very briefly, because the story was pretty much the same. From the second one, Jon Jones was dominating. He took center stage in that cage. He dominated Stipe, delivered some devastating blows in the opening seconds, completely, made Stipe look slow, timid. Whether he is that or Jon made him look like that is here, neither there. Jon had to beat who was in front of him. Stipe, who hasn't fought in 2 to 3 years, is who the UFC put in front of him, and who he wanted the UFC to put in front of him for that legacy, for the right to say, I am the man. And that's exactly what he did. Complete domination. Stipe had a couple spurts and a couple flashes to show, by some would saying he had the potential to beat Jon. Yes, I can see and understand why some may have said he had credentials and ability and some skill set to do so. Stipe that we know with fast hands, yes. Stipe with his build, even Jon did struggle with that to a degree at times. But it was complete domination, 99.9%. Jon had his way, repeatedly working the body, repeatedly putting Stipe in difficult positions. Stipe was lacking something that was critical, and every time I looked at him, I was like, you lack the intensity of a man that wants to become champion again. You have some of the ability to, make Jon really work or make it difficult for him, and you're not exhibiting that. You're striking, landing one punch and then not following up, shielding away, and maybe he was injured early in the fight, but clearly something was lacking and something was missing from Stipe, and it may have been that inactivity. And Jon, kept going, kept dominating. And I'm telling you now, if Jon wanted to beat Stipe quicker, he could have. I truly believe that. If he wanted to take Stipe to the ground, dominate him, ground and pound him, win the fight that way, he would have. He wanted to win in more devastating and more fashionable style, and that's exactly what he did with a spinning back kick to the ribs, which actually absolutely shuddered Stipe, left him on the ground. Jon Jones finished with some ground and pound, wins in the third round, and still the heavyweight champion. And he did what he said he was going to do. He did what many of us expected him to do, but it was just a reminder of his quality, the way he moves, the way he strikes. He's different. He is definitely different, and he's a problem for every single heavyweight. If he decides to fight any of them, he can probably dominate and beat them. But again, this is what we knew. There's only 1 to maybe 2 people who could probably give Jon a difficult night in the UFC currently. Stipe, he retires, put in a great shift, had a great career, watched many of his fights. Many fights I was, rooting for him or rooting against him. Didn't think he could do it, and he continuously pulled it out of the bag, which is why many people backed him today. But again, and that's why many people backed him to win this fight. But again, he doesn't have what he had previously. That layoff is a big layoff, and you have to get that speed back. You have to get that fighting timing back. You have to feel what it's like to get, hit again. And I'm sure Stipe's done all the sparring, etc. But being against someone like Jon Jones, who's so violent and will choose violent methods to break you down, is something that you're probably not accustomed to. So complete domination by Jon Jones. Now we look to the Jon and Tom Aspinall fight, which is the one I think majority of fight fans want. Him versus Alex, to a degree, is less entertaining because of that ground game. Alex can't compete with that, and Jon will find himself getting him down to the ground as soon as he can. Trust me on that. He's not going to play any games. It's not going to be as exciting as everyone thinks it's going to be. Jon versus Tom is where we need that action, and I believe where we're going to get an absolute banger. 2 guys who are proficient on the ground, on the feet, have weaknesses on the feet, yes, both. And if it gets worse, comes to worse, they're going down to the ground, and you're going to be in for an absolute scrap and a showcase. And on the feet, you're in for a showcase as well. How will Tom deal with that dynamic striking? How will John deal with the speed of Tom? These are questions we need answered. But great fight and great performance by John Jones. Stipe would have liked to see him with a bit more activity, maybe a few less miles on the clock, but nonetheless, great career, and I hope he enjoys his retirement. Next fight up on the co-main event, Charles Oliveira versus Michael Chandler. This was a rematch. Oliveira obviously winning by TKO in the first matchup. Michael Chandler, we know, always going to be in for a good fight, always going to bring the energy. And he brought the energy, but he got dominated. He got dominated for 4 out of the 5 rounds of this fight. Charles Oliveira dominated him. On the ground, he played about with him. He took him down at pretty much will and ease. Chandler fought back from time to time, but 5 takedowns for Charles Oliveira, which is a UFC record for him, beating 4 which he previously had. He got him down when he needed to, when times were tough, when he didn't really feel like striking, and maybe I'm playing into Chandler's hands a little bit too much. But on the feet, Oliveira was dangerous, dominating. You could see the style, you could see the physique. He looked massive compared to Michael Chandler, and we know Chandler's small for the division size wise, but I was thinking, Chandler, should you even be in this division? Honestly, the size difference and how big Oliveira looked there was shocking. Again, for the first 4 rounds he was dominating. As it tired into the latter rounds, Chandler, with his crazy cardio and energy and mindset, was still fighting and still trying to put it on Charles. Some discussion around some fence grabs by Michael Chandler, it's to the back of the head, eye pokes, etc. I'm not going to say Michael Chandler's dirty per se, but he's getting a little bit of a reputation, and that's not what you want to do. Again, Oliveira's not, completely resolved. He also was grabbing the inside of Michael Chandler's glove. So again, both men need to probably keep it a little bit cleaner if we can. But from a fight perspective, Oliveira on the feet, on the ground, very, very good. Yes, he gets caught from time to time, but as soon as he gets caught, he's trying to fire back. And Chandler were in some firefights, but what firefights that he was on the better end of, essentially. But for Michael Chandler, he's always going to be a fun fight. The UFC are always going to book him. He has the intensity, he has the personality. People either want to see him lose or win, so he's always going to get the call. But where is he going? He's going nowhere fast in the lightweight division. He's lost to all the key players. Poirier, he's lost to Gaethje, he's lost to Oliveira twice, he's lost to... You go up against Max Holloway, he's going to pick you apart. I just don't know where you go or who you fight that gives you a realistic opportunity to win while, being in the hunt for a title, if that's what you're aiming for, and that's what you've spoken about multiple times, if not the Conor fight, which you've spoken about as well. And Conor might think, this might be a winnable fight, even though Michael Chandler didn't look completely out of it or completely washed. There are definitely weaknesses to his game, and that size is definitely one. That reach against bigger opponents is definitely one. Next up, Bo Nickel versus Paul Craig. Again, this was a fight that we're looking forward to, prospect versus veteran. And if I'm going to be honest with you guys, I've never seen a prospect lose more hype winning than Bo Nickel. And I'll repeat that again, I've never seen a prospect lose more hype when winning than Bo Nickel. Yeah, he won. Unanimous, not for me. I think Paul Craig definitely won a round. But he should have won this clean. He should have won it easy in from Bo Nickel on paper. He should have won it easy. But on reality, I'm shocked that Paul Craig, with his advantages throughout the fight, didn't take advantage and win this fight. I mean, the opportunity to continuously punish Bo Nickel to the body and to the legs was there. He didn't take a full advantage of that and, spray them as many times as he could to keep Bo at a distance. Head striking was to a degree okay, but accuracy wasn't there, neither was the power. And so Bo was trying to get into his range, caught Paul with a couple of decent strikes throughout the fight. It was a bit boring, to be honest with you, and I felt the crowd was a bit bored. Paul Craig, probably isn't the best striker you're going to ever face, and Bo Nickel neither. Both men went away from their bread and butter, which is wrestling and jiu-jitsu, and we got this. And I don't think it was impressive by Bo. He tried to, position it in a way that is good, and it is because you beat Paul Craig. But with how much hype you have and how big you are regarded, we're going to need more domination. And you shouldn't be mentioning the names of Khamzat Chimaev if you're not dominating. And he's not dominating. Again, Paul Craig, quality fighter in terms of, veteran status. but we need more domination from you, bro. And so your stock's down. You're going to need a fight that's going to get you back up. You're going to need to talk a little bit more. You're going to need to do something because that performance just wasn't cutting it. Next up, Araujo versus Silva. Again, this was a fight that I actually enjoyed for a degree. Silva came in as a favourite. For me, I was thinking she was going to win quite easily, to be honest with you. On the other hand, she showed her inexperience and her vulnerability. Her cardio is a joke. From a size standpoint, she is perfect for the division. She reminds me of an Amanda Nunes to a degree. Her stature, the way she can, her body type, the way she can look so much bigger than her opponents, and her striking was good. She looked good. Ground game looked good as well. But it got to a point, halfway through the second round where she was looking tired. And to the third round, she was getting, she would go down to the one punch, one little tussle. She's on the ground looking to, fight. And it's embarrassing, if I'm being honest with you. Someone who's looked at as a contender, someone who's got so much potential, shouldn't be going out like that. And the veteran, Araujo, did what she needed to do. She shined. She won definitely 2-1. She came in with the aggression, caught Silva at key times, wasn't looking as weak, wasn't looking as sloppy, and you have your winner, number 9 ranked women's flyweight, continues to maintain a position. Silva's have to go back to the drawing board. She is ranked 11, or was ranked 11 at the time. She's gonna have to go back to the drawing board and see what changes she needs to make to have that cardio to go the long distance. It's a standard 3-round fight. If she was able to fight for a title, I shudder to think what she would be in those championship rounds. So a lot of work that she needs to do, because she's got the skill set, she's got the physique. She just needs to hone that in with her cardio and with her mentality and fighting IQ. Next up in the first fight of the main card was Rufi versus Lontop. Again, this was a fight we weren't really knowing what to expect. We've seen Rufi in his UFC debut, very, very impressive. I thought, wow, we got another star on our hands potentially. And Lontop I hadn't watched before, came from Dana White's Contender Series, and wow, what a fight we got. Lontop was there to be hit and was there to hit back, continuously peppering Rufi, continuously fighting. A big, big surprise that he came with the vim and vigor that he had. Rufi, less impressive than his first fight, if I'm going to be honest with you. Was looking for the picture perfect punch, got it at times and struck Lontop with all his power and might, but couldn't get a tough man like that down. And there's no surprise you're not going to get everybody down, but his general fighting outside of that was pretty poor. And if you take away some of those power punches, Lontop could have won this, if I'm not being too harsh. Rufi needs to go back to the drawing board, because he's going to have tougher matchups than this, and you're not always going to catch people at the perfect time. Did he underestimate Lontop? Maybe, potentially. For Rufi, he gets the win. Congratulations to him. He's going to need to go back to the drawing board and make sure he doesn't get himself into positions like this, where it's a toss-up essentially if you're not careful. And Lontop needs to continue to work hard, because that was a lot of fight and a lot of heart, even though he's lost, I think, 3 in a row now. To the prelims very, very quickly. Jonathan Martinez versus Marcus McGahee. We went with Marcus McGahee in the preview, and rightfully so. So dynamic. He has so much potential and ability. Yes, he started MMA a little bit later and he's catching up to some, but you can see on the ground he's proficient, on the feet he's proficient, and that all-round skill set is so key in today's MMA. We don't, no offense, those bona fide strikers or those people who can't go down to the ground, unless you've got monster power like Alex Pereira, you need to be well-rounded, and Marcus McGahee is well-rounded. He has the ability to take people down if he wants to. His striking is at a very good level. He dominated 2 rounds, had a difficult round towards the end, but showed his quality, and he's going to keep climbing those rankings. I honestly think he has a future in the division. 10-1 at the moment. My goal for him is to get into that top 10 and start challenging and start making a name for himself. Next up, Miller versus Jackson. Obviously, seeing Miller and Jim Miller do his thing is, again, something I love to see. Absolutely love seeing him fight, especially as he's winding down. You're not going to get many more of these fights, and this one versus Damon Jackson goes into the vault, because this was a beautiful guillotine finish. He pulled the ghillie on Damon Jackson, locked it in, and as soon as it was locked in, you knew it was night for Damon Jackson. Miller with another victory, probably around 2-3 or 3-2 in his last 5, but continuously his game. Every fight pretty much he's game. The only one I thought, you might want to retire is against Bobby Green, but everything else has been pretty much A1 from Jim Miller, and we love to see it. So we'll be looking out for his next fight for sure. David Onama versus Romero. This was a fight again that I thought was pretty good. David Onama wins unanimous decision, wins all 3 rounds, rightfully so. Romero came out hard, came out with a lot of vigor and vim. I'm thinking, Onama, you got to stamp your authority. And in the first round, he didn't. I thought like Romero gave as good as he was given, and then Onama turned it up. Those final 2 rounds, he showed his quality. He showed why he's been in the UFC for as long as he has been, and he's been through the fire in the UFC, and that quality shone through. He dominated at the end and wins all 3 rounds, and congratulations to him. It'll be interesting to see who he has next. Next up, Topuria wins by TKO against an up-and-coming heavyweight Deniz. Again, Topuria is the gatekeeper for the heavyweight division. You could talk about Volkov and all these people. Topuria is game. He is a wily veteran. He's so good on the ground. He can control you for ages and for so long. And he did that for 7 minutes of the 10 minutes he had across the 2 rounds. Just dominating. Just annoyingly good. And if you can catch him a couple of times on the feet, yeah, sure, he'll take you down, or he'll catch you and grab you down and hold you down. And yeah, for any young heavyweight, you've got to get past Marcin Topuria. He is a problem and someone who should be regarded. These are victories that he's had once, not twice, but many, many times in the heavyweight division. In the early prelims, the only fight we'll cover is Hafez versus Oberyn Elliott. Oberyn Elliott continues to win, meant himself in the UFC. And Hafez, I'm going to be honest, I expected a lot more from him in this matchup. I expected him to put on a bit more of a fight. He didn't. Elliott wins, continues his streak, and it's lovely to see. Hopefully, guys, you've enjoyed the review. Let me know your fight of the night. Mine would be Chandler versus Oliveira. I also really enjoyed seeing John Jones come back, but I think I just love the back and forth nature of this fight. Guys, let me know your thoughts, your opinions on the 309. I can't wait to catch up with you guys on the fight, and I'll talk to you soon. Peace.